So in a matter of a week, I spent about $800 to $1,000 on Macy's website, and I purchased a bunch of fragrances from them. These are all brand new designer releases that came out in the year 2022. I'm going to do my best to rank them in order from my least favorite to my favorite. I'm excited to get on with this list, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I go over my $800 to $1,000 haul of these top 10 fragrance releases for 2022 designers, of course, I do want to start things off by mentioning that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to enable all notifications by clicking on the bell icon, and of course, give this video a thumbs up if you take something of value from today's episode. So I actually purchased a bunch of fragrances from Macy's website over the past couple of weeks, and everything amounted to about $1,000, right? Some of them, they had only the big bottles. Some of them I was able to buy the small one, but these are all designer fragrances that recently came out. One of the fragrances in this list is marketed for women. I actually bought it for my wife. She's a big fan of the line, and this summer release is one that really catered to her taste. So with that being said, I did my best to kind of put them in order from my least favorite to my favorite. Some of them are nothing groundbreaking at all. Some of them are actually really good, and I would recommend that you check them out if you find yourself in a Macy's or any major department store that carries these fragrances. So the first one that I'm going to talk about, I bought it just because I saw it under new releases. So I like to arrange fragrances from most recent to oldest. And so I saw that this one recently came out. I double checked, and it actually did come out in 2022. And this one is Chrome Eau de Parfum by Ataro. Now I'm sure in a year they're going to release the Parfum version, right? Because that's kind of the new trend recently. And I was never the biggest fan of the original Chrome. I know people say it smells like dryer sheets, it smells clean, and I do think that there's a professional smell about it. Some people tend to associate it with that decade, and so they find it to be a little bit on the dated side of things. I do think that it's a very modern DNA, so it still just smells very fresh, clean, citrusy. There's a creamy quality about it, especially when you take a look at some of the flankers. But basically, this is Chrome Eau de Parfum. Again, nothing amazing. I bought it just for the sake of buying it and reviewing it. I will be spending a little bit more time with it, of course, and who knows, maybe my opinion on it will change in the weeks to come. But yeah, this one, nothing groundbreaking, nothing stellar, nothing super innovative, although I do perceive it to be a stronger version of the original. So if you like the original, chances are you're gonna enjoy this one too. All right, so the fragrance that I purchased for my wife is Light Blue Italian Love by Dolce & Gabbana. So this happens to be a summer flanker. For some reason, they still had bottles of Light Blue Forever there, which was last year's summer flanker, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe that's not a limited edition, but this one will be. At least that's what the Macy's rep said. She said that this is a limited edition. It won't be available next year. Let's see if that is indeed the truth. So this one, a bit on the sour and the tart side of things. There is grapefruit in here. I think there's also violet. I know the men's version also has violet. I'm gonna reveal it. I think, you know, they're both very safe, very easy to wear. There is a similarity to the original one. I don't think it's as unique, if you will, as Light Blue Forever, which was an overdose of grapefruit. Smelled very natural, very effervescent. Some people found that fragrance to be incredibly tart. Some might even say a little bit on the sour and bitter side of things. And I can understand where they're coming from. Personally, I really enjoyed it. I found it to be very different and quirky. And I also do like Light Blue Sun, which was more of like a suntan lotion vibe. And so this one, similar to the original, I do enjoy the aesthetic, the dark blue with the white hardware. And I think that this one is very safe, very easy to wear. And there's a professional, casual kind of a vibe about it, right? So you can wear it in an office because you're not going to offend anybody, but you can also wear it when you're running errands just on a casual basis. And so both of them, I think, are really nice, easy to wear. I don't overly love them. Same thing can be said about the Ataro fragrance here. The next fragrance I thought was actually pretty good. So there's apple and tobacco. And I think that I got really hyped when I was looking at the note breakdown. And then it still kind of reminded me of a lot of the, you know, Stronger With You fragrances from Emporio Armani. This one is Valentino Coral Fantasy. Great fragrance. I do like that sweet vibe that it kind of gives off. I don't know if I would say it's my favorite. I love the original Valentino Uomo, right? With that hazelnut iris, slightly cocoa-based vibe. I think that one is actually really interesting. This one, I don't overly love it, but I think it's a solid release, especially if you are a fan of some of the other Valentino fragrances on the market, especially some of the more recent flankers, right? Yellow Dream is another one. That one kind of just reminded me of Stronger With You. This one is probably a bit stronger than its predecessor. The next fragrance that I was actually really excited about because I perceived it to be something quite different, and I looked at the note breakdown. It has a lot of my favorite ingredients. It has mint, it has a lot of citrus, and I smelled it and I felt a couple different ways about it. This one by Ralph Lauren is called Polo Earth. Luckily for this one, they did have the small size, so I didn't have to, like, you know, invest in a giant bottle. So this one initially kind of reminds me of a mojito. So it has the citrus, it has the mint, it's very effervescent, very chill, easy to get along with. And it kind of reminded me of Acqua di Gio by Eau de Tali, which is one of my favorite fragrances, but the neroli became immediately apparent. And then I started to think in the vein of like a Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford, 4711. So it kind of has that DNA, and I think the one thing that will disenchant a lot of consumers is that it's not very long lasting, right? So it's so, you know, dominant on the citrus that you're not going to get exceptional longevity from it. So the next one I think is actually pretty cool. So this is John Varvatos XX Teal, if I'm not mistaken. This fragrance is on the fresh side of things. There's this aromatic accord in there. I think it's rosemary or something like that. And surprisingly, in the opening, it reminded me a little bit of like a Creed DNA, right? So it had like this natural, unique, interesting Creed personality about it. At times I was like, does it remind me of Arolfa? Does it remind me of Silver Mountain Water? So I feel like it went in a couple different directions, and then it settled to like a YSL Eau de Parfum. Right, so it kind of has like this generic designer quality about it, but I actually really do like this one. So this is one that's going to, and it's brand new, I didn't even take the sticker off of it. Definitely one that I'm going to spend more time wearing in the weeks to come, because just like I kind of said about some of the other fragrances here, it does give this business casual, semi-professional vibe about it. I think it would be perfect in an office setting. And then we also have the Most Wanted Parfum. This one is awesome. I love the Most Wanted Parfum. Very easy to wear, very easy to get along with, but it is on the daring side of things. So if you're familiar with the Most Wanted, that sort of dark, slightly sweet vibe that you're gonna get in the base with that spicy combination, I think it's really cool. This one I've recently reviewed, and I'm coming to realize I might have more than 10 fragrances in this list. I did purchase a lot recently. And this one by Ralph Lauren is called Polo Blue Parfum. I think it's awesome. I think it's a nod to the original. It has that sort of lavender, clary sage vibe about it. So it takes it in a modern direction, and it definitely follows the trends that we're seeing over the past year or so in the industry. But I like how it's not a complete 180 and it's not a complete deviation from the original. It still pays respects to the original, just modernizes it in a way. And then here we have the 9th one. Yeah, so I actually have 11 in this list. So we'll give you a bonus one, if you will. This one is Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum. And this fragrance, again, lavender, clary sage, just doing that 2020, you know, accord. And I think it smells awesome. I love it. Very easy to wear. It has a little bit of that, you know, original Acqua di Gio quality in it. So it's reminiscent of the original from the mid-90s, but it does things in a modern fashion. I really like it. And I think we're seeing that in the industry, they're kind of trying to shy away from that overdose of tonka bean, and they're moving more in the direction of, you know, bright, professional, aromatic, young, well-groomed appeal. Now, this next one is awesome. I really like this one. 1 Million Elixir by Paco Rabanne. This one is quite good. So basically, I had purchased this one from Saks Fifth Avenue. I pre-ordered it on February 5th. The anticipated arrival date was March 22nd. March 22nd came and went. Nothing happened, wasn't delivered. I called them up on April 14th and I said, hey, my package hasn't arrived. They said, oh yes, I'm sorry, there's a delay. It will still arrive. We're awaiting shipment from the supplier. And then a few hours later, I got a cancellation email. So was that a coincidence? I don't think so, right? I think something happened. But anyway, I bought this from Macy's and this one smells awesome. So I know it has a vanilla note, there's apple if I'm not mistaken, but for me, I get kind of like a chocolate vibe from it. So at times it reminds me of Invictus Victory by Paco Rabanne, and at other times, I know it's gonna sound funny, it reminds me of Dark Temptation by Axe, which I think is a great smell. So I love 1 Million Elixir, one of my favorite releases of 2022, but I think my favorite so far has to be Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé. Now, this fragrance is awesome. It has the iris, it has the cocoa. It reminds me of Dior Homme Intense, but the longevity is very good. There's a certain complexity to it, and it does smell like what many people would consider niche quality, just because I always love when designer fragrances are not afraid to do things differently. They're not afraid to think outside the box or kind of march to the beat of their own drum. And you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not the most original DNA, right? Because we've already had a Dior Homme Intense. A lot of brands have experimented with that sweet iris, that chocolatey cacao feel, but I just feel like the way it's pieced together in this fragrance is done exceptionally well. So here we actually have 11 fragrances. I probably could have excluded the women's light blue, but it was part of the haul, right? So 11 fragrances, you know, just recent purchases from Macy's, and it set me back about $1,000, but you know, I hope to review them all in the very near future so that I can get my opinions of them on camera. Thank you for watching so far. What has been your favorite recent acquisition? Could be designer or niche. Doesn't even necessarily have to be a 2022 release. Just drop your comment down below. I read every comment. Always appreciate the interaction. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video or if you took something of value from this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, give it a thumbs up. I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.